Hello and welcome to today's episode, which is all about trying to make a barbecue sauce / marinade that's super sticky and sweet, but without loads of sugar. It's the 10th of March today, not that you'd know it, because we've had a serious snowfall overnight. The sun's come out, so it's all starting to melt, but we had a good sort of 7-8 inches overnight, which was a bit of a surprise. If I need a quick meal for when I'm low on energy, or if the pain's flaring up, I tend to slice some tempeh or tofu, slather it with barbecue sauce, and then chuck it in the air fryer. And then I've got something, nice bit of protein that's tasty within kind of 15 minutes. Ran out of barbecue sauce the other day and I was thinking, oh, this is frustrating. That got me thinking though of, would it be possible to make a barbecue sauce that could be used as a marinade or just as a dipping sauce that isn't quite so packed full of sugar? That then got me thinking, could I do something with sweet potatoes? Because they do have sugar in them, sort of natural sugars, but then there's also some nutrients. So you've got your vitamins, there's some fibre, there's other goodness in there alongside all the tooth-rotting stuff. In my mind at least, it's going to be a fairly simple, easy one to do. So yeah, let's have a crack, see what we can do. I've air fried 2 small red onions and a bulb of garlic. It was like a large bulb. The garlic, I just chopped it in half and then rubbed the cut side in olive oil. The onions are chopped into quarters, tossed them in the oil and put on some salt and pepper. I did them in the air fryer for 15 minutes at 160, and then I did another 5 minutes at 140, just because a couple of the onions were still a little bit firm. And then I left them in the air fryer until now, so it's been maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, so there's still a bit of heat in the air fryer. If you don't want the hassle of roasting your veg, just use garlic powder and onion powder, not a problem at all. But this is also going to give a nice bit of kind of texture to the sauce as well. This is 2 medium sweet potatoes. I sliced them into quarters and then chopped that down into smaller pieces. Microwaved it for 15 minutes in a glass dish that was covered, no water or anything in there. Stir it after 5, put it in for another 5, stir it, put it back in, and then just drained everything to get some of the excess liquid out of there. All I need to do is pull the peel off and stick them in the blender. You can peel them first, might be easier, I don't know. Do what you like. The peel does come off really nice and easily once they're cooked. You can just pull it like that. You can also put the whole thing through the potato ricer as well. Not a problem at all. And because it's going in the blender, it doesn't matter if you've got a few little trace bits of skin. You can also use an immersion blender, do everything in a bowl. If you don't have a blender at all, just cook everything so it's super soft and then force it through a sieve. Sweet potatoes get this very kind of silky consistency to them, but I think it's going to lend itself really nicely to a sauce. I did the chocolate and chestnut tart with sweet potatoes. I made some fudge and I also did a pate. So it's got this nice silky kind of dense mouthfeel to it, which is quite pleasant. So the outer leaves of the onion there, they've gone quite fibrous, so I'm just going to pull those off just so it doesn't become unpleasant, because I don't know how well the blender will go through those. It might be worth putting the garlic in 5 minutes after the onion, because the outside of this has gone a little bit harder. I'm going to use some chopped tomatoes in here, and I'm just trying to decide if I want a full can or if I just want half. No, I'm going to do a full can, why not? And then if that's a mistake, then I know for next time. So these are just canned chopped tomatoes, and I'll give this a blitz. I'm going to go in with a spatula. I've got no idea why this isn't blending properly. I'm going to drizzle in a little bit of water, see if that fixes it. Because I don't particularly want lots of water in here, because I'll just then have to cook it all back out again. So it's starting to struggle again for some reason, but I think that should do it. I'm going to give it a quick sieve anyway, and just pass this through. Start heating this on a medium heat and we'll start getting some flavours in there. I'm heating it partly to cook the tomatoes out a little bit, because canned tomatoes have got quite an aggressive flavour and I just want to mellow that down. And also just to take out a little bit of that moisture that I just had to put in to get the blender to work. I'm going to use liquid smoke to give it a really nice smoky flavour, but I'm going to put this at the end because I find cooking it for a prolonged amount of time can sort of damage the flavour a little bit. You can use some treacle in mine just to give it a really nice depth of flavour. You can use molasses as well. There's a difference between treacle and molasses, and despite me reading it multiple times, the reason isn't sticking in my mind. I'll find an article, I'll stick the link in the description, but you just want something that's got that kind of deep, almost licoricey kind of flavour to it. Bit of smoked paprika just to boost the kind of smoky flavour. I'll also use a little bit of Old Bay seasoning. If you can't get hold of this, that's the ingredients. So it's things like celery salt, black pepper, paprika, bay leaves, basil, coriander, cloves, that kind of thing. So just like a really nice spice mix. I'm also going to pop in a little bit of licorice root. It does taste a little bit licoricey, but it's got a really nice sweetness there. So that's the licorice root. So it's dried. I'll run that through a really fine grater. This isn't mandatory, don't worry about it if you haven't got it, or if you really dislike the taste of licorice, you know, that's fine. Stir that through. Drop the heat now to a 4, so it's on quite a mellow medium heat. I'm doing this in a non-stick wok, partly because then it doesn't stick to the bottom, but then also because you've got more surface area to allow evaporation. You can do it in a saucepan as well, not a problem. I'll do a tablespoon of the treacle. It's better if you heat your spoon up, but I just remembered that now. I'll do a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika to start with, and then once I've added the Old Bay, I can always add a bit more in, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of the Old Bay seasoning. I put salt and pepper on the onion and garlic as I was air frying it, so I might not need to add lots in here. If you're going to use powders instead, you know, you might just need to add a little bit more salt and pepper. This isn't going to be stable in the fridge for a long period of time like a barbecue sauce would be, because I'm not using loads of sugar, so I'm going to freeze this one. If you want to keep it in the fridge, you just need to start packing in sugar and salt. Give that a try, see if it needs anything else. I'll do another tablespoon of treacle, and then the same amount again of the paprika and Old Bay. I think that's nearly spot on. Maybe a touch more salt and pepper. Change your mind about the salt. I'm going to use light soy sauce instead for a little bit of extra umami kick and a bit of depth. I'll do a little splash, like I'll do 1/2 teaspoon. And probably 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Yeah, that flavour's spot on. Once I had the smoke in. Old Bay is really nice because it's got a sort of really kind of spiced flavour to it, but then there's also some kind of tangy brightness in there. It's worth having. You can put it on everything, like, you know, even just pack it on a slice of tofu and bang it in the air fryer. Pulled it off the heat just so then it can, I don't have to worry about it scorching on the bottom. Liquid smoke. This is probably going to be one, at least in the UK, that you'll have to order online. I think I got it from Amazon. To make this, I have seen someone doing it online, and they got, you know, like a metal container, filled it with wood chips, put a dome on top of it, a metal dome, and then let everything smoke, and then the smoke build up inside. Wash that down with some water and a bit of vinegar, and then they add molasses, caramel, and a bit of salt, and that's how you get the flavour. So it's like it's kind of barbecued meat kind of flavour in a bottle, which is awesome. It's quite potent though, so I'm only going to add drops in at a time. I'm going to try and drop some onto a teaspoon just so you can see the colour of it. So I'll do a few drops to start with, and then give it a go. Probably done about 1/4 teaspoon so far, but as with all of my recipes, just do it to taste, whatever tastes good for you. And this bottle I've had since going vegan, so I've had it 5 years, so it lasts, because you only need a tiny bit really. You can see how sort of rich and silky the sweet potato becomes, so that should go really nice, especially in the air fryer. It should become nice and sticky. And another 1/2 teaspoon, and that's good to go. I'm going to store this in the freezer. As I mentioned, I don't think it's going to last very long in the fridge. I've got a fairly large Ziploc bag. Once everything's in the bag, I'll probably use the handle of a wooden spoon and create like grooves in it, so then I can just snap bits off. Because I think if I just let it freeze in a solid piece, it's going to be really difficult to take a small portion out of it. All I'll need to do when I want to use some is just tuck it in the microwave for, I don't know, a minute, if that maybe, because they're going to be fairly small pieces. I'm going to use this tonight for my dinner on a couple of the koftas that I did for the complete protein trio. This has got things like quinoa, tofu, that sort of thing in it. I'll link down in the description for you if you want to make your own. I did burgers, koftas and meatballs, so I thought it'd be really nice on the outside of the koftas. So I'll maybe do like a little close-up video so then you can see what the texture's like after air frying. I might do 155, 160 in the air fryer. I think because of the amount of sugar that's in a sweet potato, that will burn quite easily in the air fryer. So go low and slow, like a true barbecue should be. If you want more vegan recipes landing in your inbox each week, hit subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications, and that way you'll get pinged every time I do something surprising with a sweet potato. And then head over to this one.